Yeah, I mean, I think it was, the turnovers I thought in the first half really hurt us. We were a little bit better after that, but, when you look at it, and they've done this, they've got really, really long athletic and defenders, and Johnson and, Daniels, they get their hands on so many balls. And so the turnover number was not overly high, but if you look at the points off turnovers, I think it was 24 points off of 14 turnovers. They capitalized like every time we turned the ball over, and that was a big part of it. I think the difference in the game for us was I think we were +6 the last 6 minutes of the second quarter going into half, and I think to close the fourth quarter, I think we were +11. So again, we're gonna have to play a lot of people, and I think a lot of guys stepped up, and on different nights it's going to be different guys, but we got a lot of contributions from a lot of people.
What do you like about Ayo in that closing lineup?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes I'm just going off of like, okay, he was playing really well. I think we needed some defense out there, and I put Kevin in there for a while thinking we needed shooting because they were switching, and maybe we could get him open for a couple of threes. We got bogged down a few times because of their length and their size and their ability to switch with certain lineups. But, I mean, it was just, I think everybody contributed, and it was just kind of, Iowa was just playing really, really well. It's kind of the same thing in the Orlando game. He played really well closing. I left him out there.
What do you make of Ayo's shooting? Last year was almost hesitant to take those shots. The year before he was missing them all, and now 2 fourth quarters in a row where he's made clutch threes, 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah, I think he didn't shoot the ball well last year. I felt like he shot it when it was there. He just didn't shoot the ball particularly well in the year. But the one thing about Ayo, and even I've said this about Matas, maybe even more so with Ayo, he has an unbelievable internal belief in himself, and I think that, for him, I always find it interesting when the road for guys to get to this level's a struggle, because they have to have a belief in themselves and they have to overcome things. And, Ayo wasn't a first-round draft pick, and he kind of all of a sudden, he has that rookie year because we have a bunch of guys with injuries. He gets an opportunity, and probably no one expected him to do what he did, and second year was kind of down, but he never loses confidence. So I think probably, to be honest with you, after the shoulder surgery and once he was cleared, he spent a lot of time in the gym shooting. I think he spent a lot of time, but he's got great belief in himself, and I really admire people like that.
Your rebounding has been really good this season. Particularly, you're smaller. I mean, I think in the second quarter you started, I don't think anybody over 6'2" was out there against Okoro and Porzingis. What have you made of the rebounding margin that you've been able to, even though smaller, been able to out-rebound like that?
Yeah, I think I've said this before. I think habitually, just sometimes there's just not a lot of guys, blocking out, quite honestly. There's times where guys feel like they can rely on their athleticism. We just don't, to your point, have the size to be able to do that, but we've been trying to send guys to the glass as hard as we can, and kind of try to manufacture a few extra possessions, maybe a couple putbacks, because the margins are so small, and we were such a poor offensive rebounding team. But, Isaac is really, really good at it. He keeps balls alive. Josh Giddey's really exceptional at it. We're trying to get Matas. I think Patrick's done a better job this year on the glass, but we have to try to do that. I think if you look at our team last year, I've said this before, we shot the ball really, really well last year, but we didn't get to the free throw line. We didn't really get any offensive rebounds, and we were okay. We weren't crazy with the turnovers, or in the year we were, but as the year went on, we weren't. But we've got to find other ways outside of transition and manufacture points, and we've done a good job getting to the free throw line so far in the first 3 games, and we've done a pretty good job on the glass, manufacturing. Listen, we obviously, it's a 2-possession game, and Josh misses that shot and makes a great play to get an offensive rebound back. So we just have to do those things, those little things that are going to give us a few extra possessions.
Really, I didn't see this in real time when you mentioned it in Orlando, but I went back and watched when you were going to put in Josh, but you said that he told you that those guys were playing well. Mm-hmm. He sat down. It feels like some of the teams, and then obviously you closed with him, but it feels like you could have done the same thing tonight, where the depth is on. Like, how often do you find yourself almost that those guys believe in the depth to the point where maybe they're even reassuring you?
Yeah, that was just a situation of, I think that the guys have sacrificed. It's a really, really great group of guys. I think the chemistry on the team in terms of their relationships are really good on and off the court. I grew up in a time where, if you didn't have a good relationship on the court, you generally didn't have a good relationship off the court. Now it's a little bit different. These guys have great relationships sometimes off the court, but don't, have, when I say not they're upset with it, they don't really coexist very well. I just appreciated the sacrifice, and I've said this before the game. There's going to be some times I'm going to try to make some decisions that, I'm just kind of going off of my gut, quite honestly. And I didn't close with Josh in the game, and was going to put him back in. Ayo made that three, and he said, let him keep playing. He's going well. And I agreed with him. I think it was the right thing. Maybe if Ayo didn't make that shot, maybe he would have went in the game. But it speaks to, I think, Josh caring about winning and caring about his teammates and looking at the group, and they're playing pretty well, and let's keep them going there a little bit. For us tonight, it was just trying to find at times different groups. I mean, Sam mentioned it. We ended up going really, really small. I was just trying to find different groups. Get down by, I think, 11 or 12, and they fought their way back. And I brought Trey back sooner than I would have liked to. I thought he was getting tired. He had that one drive. He kind of fell at the basket, and I can just tell when he gets tired. So I got him off. I think Josh came back in and did a really good job. And then, I came back with Trey and took Kevin off. So. Some of these times with these guys are just trying to keep some guys out there that are fresh, that have fresh bodies. And I think that's going to be a thing for us is we've got to try to use the whole 48 minutes to play the way we're trying to play.
It seems like what you're doing, too, is you're keeping ball handlers out there. Josh with Trey. Is that the
Yes.
idea? You always want to have at least two, maybe three. At the end, you had three ball handlers.
That's right. Yeah, trying to. I mean, I feel like for our team because and I think you saw it, some of the switching and stuff, we're winding up, we're trying to go one-on-one. We're just not that kind of team. We got better when we had Vooch with the ball and we were cutting and moving. We had that one swing pass. I think Modest ended up making a three. We had a lot of really good ball movement. We had some, when we got ahead of the defense and got downhill, but when we were just lined up one-on-one, it was tough. So I think for us to have one ball handler out there that feels like he's got to make all the plays or generate all the offense, it's hard. So I've tried to keep, Modest handles the ball well. Patrick can handle the ball, but Josh, Trey, Ayo, like trying to keep two or three guys out there. I think that's important for us.
Billy, like both you and Sam alluded to earlier, you did go small with Patrick in the second quarter, even with Onyeka and Kristaps in there. You went back to it in the fourth quarter. I think you guys ended up playing them even, like 14-14 or something around there. What did you think of that group and how they did?
Yeah, I think what happens is the second unit, against Detroit, I thought was just okay, and I thought the second unit against Orlando was phenomenal, and I thought Casey jinxed it before the whole press conference started, because he says you're never going to score 58 points again off your bench. 53,
yeah.
Whatever. But
5 short.
the bench was just okay tonight, quite honestly. I was just trying to find something, and the same thing happened. We had a good run to close the third, and in that fourth quarter we got a little bit stagnant as well. So I kind of like the idea maybe at times of having Patrick at the 5 with Modest and Isaac out there, because they're physical, they're long, and they have the ability to switch and guard. I thought Porzingis hurt us early in the game. We went to switching on him. We were kind of in coverage and trying to break off the coverage, and we broke it off a few times when he got going, and then we just kind of went to switching with him. But that line gives you, I think, some flexibility to do some different things defensively, and they did a good job while they were in there. I thought we had some opportunities to maybe take advantage of it a little bit more, but overall, not that we've done it a lot, they were pretty good at it.
One other thing I have, we may have had this wrong. I know that would be a surprise, but
Very much so.
yeah, Vucevic, maybe he's getting better with age. I mean, he had like practically a 20-20 tonight. So did we have this wrong about asking him about the age? He seemed a little sensitive about that.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Didn't hear his response, but
Just
I was
asking him about age all the time.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've said this before. He's really, really professional. He takes unbelievable care of his body. He works out. I'll tell you this: like there's times when we land in cities, I'll try to go down and work out after we land. I would say more often than not, he's in the weight room. He's in there before most people. At night, and goes through every practice, goes through every shooter, and takes care of himself. I think the biggest thing that Vooch is doing, in my opinion, he's been a proven scorer in this league for his whole entire career. I think the thing he's really helping us with is he's really defensive rebounding. Even though he's not shot blocking, he's putting his body in between the man and the rim, and there's some verticality there. He's kept a couple balls alive on the defensive glass that he hasn't been able to come down with, that we've been able to come down with and start the break. And like, listen, he's not always going to be able to be running up and down, but he trails in, and he's a great calming force with the ball in his hands because he can score and he can manufacture, offense with his passing, and if we're willing to cut and move around him.
Last one.
Just to follow something Joel asked you about Josh, and you mentioned
Australia?
You might be wondering why I'm asking about Josh. Yeah.
Okay.
But, no, you mentioned the selflessness, and
I'm sorry?
you mentioned him being selfless in that Orlando game, and I'm curious whether, in your experience, you've seen guys like that where he does sign the extension and now he feels a little more comfortable here and some ownership with this team, when you've seen any change here over the last couple months or from last season.
Yeah, I mean, when I say change, Josh's a great guy. The thing I love about Josh is he loves to compete and he loves to play, and he also plays through a lot of injuries or things that would keep maybe other players out. He loves to play. I think the other part of it for Josh, listen, it's hard. You come all the way around the world, basically halfway around the world to Oklahoma City. You're adjusting to new teammates, the NBA, trying to find a new place to live, lifestyle, all the things that it comes from coming overseas. And then, the trade happens, and then he's got to do that all over again, and I think this year he's probably a lot more comfortable because he knows everybody here now. I thought last year there was definitely a transition for him, but Josh is very easygoing, easy to speak to, gets along really, really well with the guys, and, I think he's probably a lot more comfortable now than he was a year ago just because he knows everybody.
We talked about your career here, about your shooting. The last couple of games you've stepped up and made several big shots in the fourth quarter. And last year you admitted your shooting wasn't quite where you wanted. Sometimes maybe you were hesitant, and then you had shoulder surgery of all things. What have you done to get your shooting, and where does the confidence come from?
Yeah, my confidence is great. I put a lot of work into this offseason, not just physically, but mentally, having a lot of time to really watch myself over the past years. And, last year also I dealt with a lot of nagging injuries, not to make an excuse or anything, but it was a lot of nagging injuries that I was going through. And I'm just blessed to be able to, have that time off. I call it a blessing in disguise. My shoulder surgery, because I was able to take a step back from the game of basketball and actually observe and had to look in the mirror and really see what ways I can get better. And then once I was able to get back on the court, 100% focused, dedicated, and just wanted better for myself.
It seemed also, in the past, sometimes you would pass up that shot. You would move it along around the perimeter to somebody else. But now it looks like, it comes to you, you're ready to take that shot, step up and take it. What's been that difference?
Just growth. Growth, I think that's something that you practice over the summer. Having growth in your game and trusting it and having confidence and going in each and every day and working on your craft, being obsessed with getting better, being obsessed with being a better player. And I just took that approach, and I'm going to continue to take that approach, always trying to get 1% better. And that's the motto that I have, and just seeing results now.
You're one of the longest, haven't been here now. What's this start mean for this team? The way you guys come out, and especially against quality opponents, all three quality opponents.
Definitely, it's great. We put a lot of work into this, the whole off season. Being together, not just in the facility, but taking trips together and building that camaraderie, building that team chemistry, and then the off season we had, the training camp was amazing. I mean, the competitiveness we had, we were able to play, we were able to compete, and we seeing it now. That's why when we playing out there, we having fun. That's the best thing about it. We winning, we playing on both ends of the court, but we having fun doing so.
When you say you putting in work in the offseason, mentally, what does that look like?
Reading. I would say reading. I would say, trusting in my faith. Really locking into my faith, really locking into that part of me. I think that's a huge part of me. I necessarily don't share it or not, but my faith is huge to me. And watching a lot of film, tons of film, watching games over and over again, watching how I can get better, watching other guys in the NBA. I think that's a tool that I don't think a lot of guys use is, we competing against each other on the court, but at the end of the day, these are the best players in the world still. So each and everybody in the league, they do something well. That's how they got here. So being a student of the game and understanding that you can learn from other players. I think that's been huge for me also. And you're just watching tons of basketball, or whether it's on myself or other guys, it helped me.
What are you reading?
Of course, I'm reading the Bible, but I read The Power of Now. I'm a big devotional guy. That's one thing I love. I love devotions. I love, reading the Bible, learning different stories, and incorporating it into my daily life. I pray a lot, 3, 4, 5 times throughout the day, praying a lot, having my faith. It clears my mind, allows me to go out there and just be free.
Ayo, did you think that this team would come together as quickly as it seems to be at this point?
What do you mean by that?
You see the camaraderie, you see things. Sometimes it doesn't happen as easy as it seems to be with this club.
Yeah, I won't lie to you. It felt special just, going to dinners. I think this group by far is probably the closest group in terms of that, like being together, joking around. Like, how sometimes, I don't know if you know, but if you're around some teams where it might have been forced in terms of the way we clicked as fast, but I think this group, like, we can go on a bus ride and we laughing, we talking about the NBA. It's more of a brotherhood because we're able to relate to each other more, I would say. And so I can't really determine how quick it would happen in terms of the success rate, but I definitely know since we started this thing, since we went and been together this offseason, I knew that it was something special.
Other people have cited that same dynamic that you just spoke of.
Yeah.
How does that help you guys on the court?
Oh, it means a lot. And it's not
in
just,
what ways? Sorry to interrupt. What ways does it help you on the court?
Yeah, not being cliche, but it just makes us, it's like we're a brotherhood. You ever went to the park and played with your brothers, and if your brother open, you go throw it to him, right? Because it's your brother.
Right.
And I think that's the type of relationships that we have. Someone's open, we go throw it to them. When we playing defense, we were down 112 to 106. We came to the timeout. No one was worried. We knew that what we had to do. We playing hard. And we having fun doing so. I think that's the most important thing, having fun. Because at the end of the day, we get paid a lot of money to do these things, and sometimes you can see the joy be taken away from some players. And I think the whole group, we out here having fun, and that's the best thing about it.
Does it also help with sacrifice? Because this is a deep team.
For sure.
You're closing right now there, but it might be some games you're not closing. You know what I'm saying?
That's a part of it.
Yeah.
That's a part of strength in numbers. Being out there, just being ready when your number is called, and that's the most important thing. Being ready when your number is called, and then we a tight knit group off the court. So whoever coaches choose to close with or start with, we respect that decision because we know that each and everybody on the roster put the same amount of work in to go out there and help us win.
What has it meant? The coaches kept, you, Trey, Josh, kept multiple ball handlers out there pretty much all the time. And I assume that's, of course, the way you want to play. Keep the ball moving, keep it active. What's that meant for the team, and what's that meant for you guys?
I think it means a lot for the team because it keeps everyone in rhythm. We're not stopping the ball. We keeping the ball moving. We making quick reads. We've been told if you open, shoot it. If not, get downhill. They collapse, kick it. And we've been just doing that at a high level, and there's still ways we can get better. Like I stated earlier, I think the challenge of becoming a good team and wanting to be a good team is the consistency. So that's about doing it over and over again. When you get success, how can you continue to stay true to your core values to be able to take that next step? And I think that's going to be the next challenge for us, doing it again. I believe we have Sacramento coming in here Wednesday, and we have to be able to take that next step and do it all over again.
Thanks a lot, Alex.
Very. And we kind of preached it, through training camp and through these first 3 games. But, it has to be done by committee, and I think that's the way it's been these first 3. And, multiple guys and, 7, 8 guys in double-figure scoring. I think that kind of shows how much of an across-the-board effort there's been. And both first unit, second unit, I think, have played very well in different stints. And, it's up to our starters to get us off to a good start, but that second unit's come in and there's been no slack dropped off. So total team effort these first 3 games, and it has to be that way going forward.
What did you think of Ayo in that closing lineup for the second 3 games?
Yeah, he was huge. He was huge. Made shots, made plays, made the right read. I think, when you got a guy like that does it both sides of the ball down the stretch, you want him in the game, and he's been huge for us, these first 3 games, and we're going to need him, moving forward.
Josh, what you were saying at the end of the Orlando game that, around 3 minutes left, that he was going to put you in, but you told him that the group on the floor was playing well to keep those guys out there. I guess how many times, maybe not even in late game situations, but since training camp, have you found yourself, looking at the guys on the floor, looking at his depth, and just being reassured by that, and
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's good to see having a deep team is very important. You kind of see it with the best teams in the league that they can go 9, 10, 11 guys deep, and there's no drop off from first unit, second unit, whoever's out there. So that Orlando game, that group was rolling to end the game, and just wanted to let them keep going. And there's a 10-point game with 3 minutes left, so let them finish the game out, and they did a great job of closing. But as I said, having depth is a big luxury, and we've got to use it to our advantage, especially with how fast we play and how up and down the court we get. Having 10, 11 guys is very important.
you find yourself telling Mark not to put you in the game for a reason like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when your group's rolling, I think that kind of speaks. And that's, I did it in that instance, but guys have done it, last year and the year before, well, not the year before I wasn't here, but last year, guys have done the same thing. So we've got a selfless group. We all want to win. That's our number one priority. So when a group and a lineup's rolling, you let them go and you leave them out there.
Josh, you get the feeling that other teams don't know what to expect with you guys at this point?
Yes and no. I think people know how fast we play, but it's a grind. It's tough to defend for 48 minutes, and as I said before, having 12 guys that can throw out there at any time, the pace never drops off. I think it's been me and Trey so far to start it, but Ayo comes in, Kev comes in, DT comes in. That pace stays the same. So it's been great to see that across the board, and that's the way we've got to play, and that's the way I think our team is designed. And when we play to our identity, we're a tough team to beat.
Josh, 3 games doesn't make a season, but it sure makes for a real good start. Building up even more confidence than you guys already had to begin with. Can you just talk about the first 3 games in the start?
Yeah, I mean, winning's good, and winning, keeps the morale high around the group. And we've been through stretches, especially last year, where we lost a stretch of games. We've been through other stretches where we've won a bunch. So, you don't want to ride the waves too high, too low. One game at a time, you take it, and you try not to look too far ahead, but you also acknowledge what you've done well to win the first 3, and acknowledge what you need to get better at. But I think the exciting thing with this group is there's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of room to get better, and I think going forward, we're going to film tomorrow, watch it, learn what we need to do, and get ready for another tough team coming in here Wednesday night.
Josh, is there something about you guys have done a lot better job at just figuring out, the winning plays? You guys, they kind of jumped on you early and you figured it out defensively. You got down by 6 midway through the fourth quarter, and you guys got stops, got baskets, knew where to go when you needed a basket. Like, how do you think, how's that process work? How do you think that happened with those guys?
Yeah, I think being in late game situations, getting that experience helps, and I think especially tonight, with I had Daniels on me, I call him Daniel Dyson, and I wanted to get him away from the ball. So Trey, these guys were handling him, but we're trying to, you obviously have guys down the stretch you want to put in action, and on the defensive side of the ball, and we had that with Atlanta, and we executed the right way. We got good shots. We defended really well. I thought that third quarter and the start of the fourth, Trey was doing whatever he wanted out of pick and roll. He was making layups, floaters. He was getting other guys involved, and we really locked into our defensive principles midway through that fourth. And I think clawed back, got up ahead by 1 when they called that timeout about halfway through, and then I thought the unit that closed did a great job, both sides of the ball executing, and closed a tough team out.
Billy was talking about how you must feel more comfortable this year after getting traded, being here for the whole off season. Is that accurate? Do you feel like, okay, I'm here, I'm settled in?
Yeah, I do, and having that role solidified after a year, you understand what needs to be done, and I think coming here my first year, I was, I've said it before, but I didn't want to step on any toes. I wanted to just fit in and kind of fly under the radar. But this year, I think I look around this locker room, and I really believe in this group and the guys that we have, and I think I wanted to take a step forward in that leadership role. So trying to use my voice more, especially as the point guard, you have to be an extension of Billy out there on the floor. So trying to communicate with him during games, and it's been a good start for us as a group. But as I said, long season ahead, 79 more games. So this has to be a regular thing, and we can't pick and choose when we want to play that way.
Do you feel like it reinforces, though? I mean, you guys finished obviously strong last year. These are 3 really good teams people are excited about. Do you feel like that reinforces that, like how you guys finished was for real, and the kind of confidence that you have in yourselves is real?
Yeah, I mean, we always believed. We never kind of were worried about the outside noise, and I know people talk about that kind of March run, and teams are tanking, and teams are not playing their best guys, and whatever. And we never looked at it that way. We played some really, really good teams down the stretch last year, and we had a really good training camp. Practices have been really good. Even days where it's a bit lighter, I think mentally everyone's been really locked in. So you have to keep doing the right things. As I said, long season ahead. We played 3 games, but it's a really positive start. But there's also a lot of things we need to get better at, which is exciting as well.
You mentioned Dyson. Did you have to put your friend in the spin cycle like that?
Yeah, he found me hard as well, but he looks good. I mean, happy for him. He got paid and got that extension with Atlanta, so I know he's happy there. He loves his role, and he's someone that it's very tough to go against. And I love when we get to put the green and gold together and play with each other a lot more than I do when I got to go against him.
How much do you guys talk on the court as friends?
You try not to talk too much. You don't want to be too buddy out there, but that's one of my closest friends. So we talk enough.
It's so special.
3 games doesn't make a season, but it sure makes for a heck of a start.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 3-0 is always good to go undefeated right now. We know we're still taking it game by game. Our approach right now is just focusing on the next game, which is Sacramento. So just locking into that scout and trying to be our best for that game.
The Hawks are really sharp at the start of that game. They were kind of get you on your heels, getting mismatches, but you guys seem to weather the storm and figure it out pretty quickly. Is that how? This is a pretty new group of guys. How do you guys figure that out and answer that so quickly?
Yeah, we're a pretty gritty team. We have a lot of underdog mentality. Each guy on this team, that's what we feel like. We're an underdog coming into this league, so each and every game we're very gritty. We don't feel like we're ever down until the game's over. So we got to keep on fighting.
You guys get a good feel for each other, don't you? And then you have to have time to kind of talk about things to figure out what you have to do in the next half.
Yeah, we just want to up our physicality. We knew in the first half we were getting good looks from the 3-point line inside the paint. No shots just weren't falling, but each and every guy in this room on this team has confidence in their shot, and everyone is just continuing telling everyone just to keep taking open shots, because we know we work so hard on it, and we generate a lot of open shots, so we'll continue to shoot it.
You were 0 for 8. 2 games and 2 on double figures today. It felt like you were in the same spots. What changed for you? What were the conversations like leading into these 2 games that you just had?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a confident player. I know, I didn't want to start the first 2 games how I started, but I knew that the shots that I were getting were makeable shots. I'm continuing to keep taking those shots. I know I work on my game pretty hard and all those shots pretty hard. So me just having the confidence, just keep taking those shots, and eventually they'll be more consistent and start making them.
How long do you think it'll take before fans really start to believe that this team can compete on a nightly basis?
We just got to prove it game by game. We know what we have inside this locker room. We know the group of guys that we have. Like I said, we're a very gritty team, and we believe in each other. We believe 1 through 15 that we can go out there and win against anyone in this league. So we're going to continue to just keep playing physical and playing our identity basketball.